Welcome to another episode of Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts. In this episode, Matthew and Rudy are talking to Benjamin Crum, the driving force behind longtime band Great Lakes. This marks the second appearance of the remarkable Mr. Crum on the show, and the discussion focuses on the new release, Don't Swim Too Close, out now on Happy Happy Birthday to Me Records.
Yeah, we have Mr. Ben Crum coming back to Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts to talk about Don't Swim Too Close, the new album by the Great Lakes. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I just said the Great Lakes, and I think that that's a mistake, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. It is Great Lakes, and I apologize for that.
No perspiration, as my dad used to say.
All right, awesome.
Doesn't speak, listen to the sea. If the sea won't talk, try the wind. If there's nothing on the wind, there's always the river. Always the river. Ship blew out, you had enough. Another klaxon sounds. How much of the truth are you willing to tell? How much of the truth can you even admit?
So this was actually, this was not going to initially be the follow-up to Contenders. But you guys decided on releasing this one next and then pushing the what would have been the follow-up to Contenders back some. What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, you know, I don't run the label, Mike does, and Mike has his own schedule and his own commitments, and life got in the way. What happened is I turned in the record, mixed, mastered, done, and it just sat there for a long time. So right now, that record, Fear of the Fear, is a couple of years old. It doesn't feel stale, but I had just finished recording, mixing, mastering this brand new one, and I have seldom in my musical career had the pleasure of writing, recording, and releasing an album that felt just super fresh and new, and I just wrote this. I mean this right now as it's coming out. Usually it's like the thing that comes out is a year and a half or 2 years old.
And you meant it 2 years ago. But it's been 2 years.
Oh yeah, Fear of the Fear. Fear of the Fear that record won't get stale. It's really kind of like a concept record about my friend who just spiraled drugs, alcohol, mental health issues and died. And it was sad. And it was like, I grieved for a decade for him. And I wrote that record kind of like about that experience. I hope that it's universal, but anyway, that's not going anywhere. That won't get stale. And in fact, my friend Ryan, who died, he was good friends with the director Bradley Beasley, who directed the Flaming Lips movie. But he had all this old footage of my buddy who died that he just threw together as a video. So when that record comes out, the title track will have a nice little visual to go along with it.
That's awesome.
One of the questions I had was, because the last time we spoke, when we were talking about Contenders, you talked about there being a sort of companion record that was recorded very shortly thereafter and ready to go and all that. And so I was wondering if this was that.
Yeah, this is not that. Contenders 2 is really the Fear of the Fear record. I nearly called it Contenders 2: Fear of the Fear, but it's the concept connection is not there. So I decided not to do that.
It was too loose.
Yeah, sonically, production wise, songwriting style wise, like the musical tone of it, think is very similar to Contenders, but it's not thematically in line at all. So I just decided against that.
Conceptually, it's not connected to Contenders anyway. I think I actually appreciate your decision to not name it that.
That's very validating. Thank you, Matthew.
Not a problem.
On the way back, your novel was taking shape in your head. On the way back, the title of a book no one ever read, because the book was told in bits to friends over time, while drinking in bars, bobbing and surf, and waiting for helicopters that never arrived. You were first to admit in the novel there were many holes, like a play with a small cat.
Well, the reason why I guess I asked that is because, like, listening to this record, the songs stylistically are similar for the most part. They're in the same wheelhouse anyway. I do feel like I can hear a little bit more of sort of the country influence that you spoke with the last time we talked.
For sure.
I even A/B'd it a little bit between Contenders and this new material, and it just feels like it cuts a little bit through, like the high end cuts through a little bit more on it.
Oh yeah, it's a wildly different whole process for the making of Don't Swim Too Close, like how it was recorded. And then my good friend Sam Cohen mixed it and recorded a bunch of it too and played a bunch on it. And he just has a different style than Lewis. He's great. Lewis is great. It's just different. And I think he just brought his own ideas about what these songs needed and what kind of sound the record should have. But you're right in that the songs, like Rudy, that there are more like sort of country and rootsy kind of things in there. I don't, and that wasn't conscious. When I do that, it just, whatever I sit down and write, I've been all over the place. Mike Turner, who runs the Happy Birthday to Me label, Two Happies, actually, sorry, was just texting me yesterday, like laughing about, and I think in a nice way, a compliment, like in all the musical genres that I've touched on, and I was laughing that Derek from Giant Day and all the other bands, as you know, is mixing some stuff for me right now. And I was like, you should hear this one. It sounds like Neu and Kraftwerk. Like there's like an 8-minute 1-chord jam. And it's like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I contain multitudes, as we all do, Yeah.
Yes, you do. Well, I would say that the new album, it's not maybe as dense of a sound as Contenders was. Contenders was a very, very dense sounding album. But also, I would say that the new one has moments of hopefulness that I think overwhelmed the feeling that I got from Contenders. Contenders, I don't think, had these moments of hopefulness, these moments where you're talking about your dad being fulfilled and what an amazing gift that is to give to a son. Those are beautiful feelings. Those are, and it does come together with this anxiety of what we're all dealing with right now, but there's a level of hopefulness there as well.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the things that shine for me about hopefulness, when the song, the title track, "Don't Swim Too Close," is I wrote about. I'm a teacher, and I was, for a time I was teaching emotionally disturbed kids who were sometimes violent, and a little kid caught me unawares and gave me a concussion,
Really?
and it was rough.
With
Yeah, it
what?
was rough. He did a little windmill move, and he used the, like, where his wrist meets his hand, that sort of spot, just got me like right in the forehead, and I didn't know my colleagues' names, and then it took me months to get back. I mean, it was the lowest. I mean, this is, a statement of privilege here, but it was the lowest point in my life where I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be a partner to my wife, or to a father to my children, or whatever. I didn't know if I was coming back from it. And it was so dark for me. And the first version of "Don't Swim Too Close" that I recorded was just too bleak. I gave it that sort of jauntier. I'm a huge Doug Somm fan. I tried to give it that little Tex-Mex kind of feeling, but Jeff Bailey, who I've been playing bass with, he was in that band, Phosphorescent. He's great. He lives nearby, and it's been fun playing with him, but he was joking that it has he didn't say hopeful, but I think is what he meant. I changed the tone of it by giving it a Jimmy Buffett feel.
Okay. All right.
Which I was not. And, he was just kind of joking about like that sort of like poppy, bouncy.
Yeah, I don't think you reached quite Jimmy Buffett levels there.
Feeling hopeless, all my highs were low. I put a brave face on for show. Well, I tried to kill the king and failed in my plan. So don't swim too close to this drowning man. I was looking back in danger with icy disaffection, not all there.
Every song feels like it's of a piece with the track that came before it. Not that they sound alike, because they don't, but they sound conceptually tied to each other. And
They are.
I always love that about an album. But you've got a instrumental track on there as well. Actually, there were two, right?
Yeah. The thing that's sort of worth discussing about those, I think, is that they feature San Fadil on drums, who was the drummer for the Ladybug Transistor for a lot of years,
Yes.
who died. He died. I don't remember the year now, 2006 or 7, it feels like. Yeah, right around in there. But I had Gary Olson gave me some of his old unused drum tracks, and I just wrote music to them. Initially I was gonna, and it was just so fun and so fulfilling to be playing with him again, even overdubbing. It made me think of the thing in the Beatles documentary where Paul and George and Ringo get to play with John on like Real Love and Free as a Bird and those songs, where it's like they had these existing cassette tapes or demos or whatever they were, and they just got to play with them again. That's how it felt really good to me. I like the last time we did one of these, I've neglected to listen. Like I didn't listen to Contenders right before we talked, and I was like, I don't ask you what the name of the song was. This time I was just coming from the airport right now, and I listened all the way through, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. I really like the one Ohm Has Me. Like I'm a huge Stone Roses fan, and John Squire is probably like one of my all-time, not probably, is one of my all-time favorite guitar players. And I was listening back to that, and I was in the moment, I was liking how I copped a little John Squire vibe, or maybe even a lick or two. He was like a guitar teacher for me from when I was a teenager. Him and Dean Wareham, I could pick out all the Galaxy 500 kind of Luna kind of guitar parts, because they're like, he plays one note at a time usually, and I could pick it out by ear. And that was like, yeah, those two guys were my big ones. Sometimes I write all these words and I don't really know what I mean. And then I piece them together and I take them apart and I put them back together. And then when I have a song that it feels like it communicates what I intended, I'll record it then. And then afterwards, when I'm asked to explain what I meant or something, or write something for press, sometimes the process of writing is what causes me to realize what I meant or what I was talking about, or I'll realize the theme that exists. And in writing something about this, I realized that like there's like a real America kind of theme about this record. Are we here accidentally? Like, when I first started touring in Europe and I went to Scandinavia, I was just like, wait a second, where you been all my life, Norway or whatever? It's just like, I felt so at home. I just felt like this is the place for me. Like, why was I born in Alabama exactly? Like what's going on? Why I'm not, and then generally, in like a big cosmic silly way, like, are we here accidentally? But the idea, and it starts with the song, Another Klaxon Sounds, which is
the opening
really
track.
it's really about moving, it's like, I'm trying some stuff out with this record where I'm singing you, but I mean me. And sometimes I'm singing I, but I'm not singing from my own perspective, which is not usually my typical style. But I was just played around with varying the pronouns and trying to figure out how it changed the meaning a little bit. That's like kind of a fun experiment for a songwriter to change something potentially inconsequential and have it change the meaning. It's the same thing with having a woman sing on something, like a line you suddenly like, wow, a woman's voice here changes the tone, tenor, and even the meaning of what I was writing. So that was like, my wife and I, we took a long time to settle in the Hudson Valley. We moved around in Brooklyn chasing cheap rent. And then we moved to Tennessee twice, if you can believe it, and back to New York. And then when we lived two places in the Hudson Valley before we settled in where we are now, which we will never leave until the kids are gone. And so there's that song that Are We Here Accidentally? When I was young, I lived with dreams. I'm older, I live with regret. That's the one that has the modern American life is a sham. That's really in there. And then the song Meant to Fly. This town was meant for leaving. We were meant to fly. I was meant to fly. I don't know if you guys caught it or noticed or or really cared, or you might have thought it was silly. You might have thought it was funny. I don't know. I've had a couple of people respond in different ways. The bit at the end where I'm listing all the town names and kind of like doing silly stuff with the words, and then I don't know, if you haven't paid attention to that bit, it's worth a close listen maybe.
Are we here accidentally? Are we here accidentally? trees or the birds.
It seems like I know last time when we spoke, both Matthew and I were talking about how we kind of heard a Midwestern influence on it in the music, and despite you having no real history in the Midwest, this one I felt a very strong sort of Bakersfield sort of country sort of influence in it. And again, it's not a place that you've necessarily lived in, but that music is certainly very available. So
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly been there, played there once or twice, went to the Buck Owens Club, and also it was that area, Orange County and all that, that was home to so much punk rock that I loved as a teenager. I was a huge Social Distortion fan.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of guitar teachers, there's my third one, Mike Ness from Social Distortion. I really learned all his, again, one note league things that are not simple, but they're really tasteful and cool. But yeah, there's some of that for sure. I love Buck Owens. I love Dwight Yoakam.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I'm more, my upbringing and everything. My family I was born in Alabama, went to college there. There's actually a song on my brand new one that I just am recording. Like I just went to Sam's and tracked live in the studio, but one of the songs I'm doing is called Alabama Goddamn, which is kind of like about my experience there and my conflicted feelings about Alabama. And I'm hoping that it doesn't come off to people as insensitive to sort of make light of Mississippi Goddamn, but and then it alludes to Neil Young's Southern Man in the song too. So I don't know. Well, it's just kind of, these things are, it's a big part of I don't know. I kind of write about, really do like writing about myself. I love that bit in the Imagine movie. It's used again in the Beatles anthology, where there's an American guy, he's like homeless. He's like a kind of real acid casualty. He's living in Lennon's bushes and at Tittenhurst, and while they're recording Imagine, they find him out there, and Lennon goes out to talk to him with Yoko, and like the guy's so burnt, he thinks that John has written "She Came In Through the Bathroom Window," and he's like, no, that was Paul. And anyway, when I write these songs, I'm writing about me and my life. He even goes like, I had a good shit this morning or whatever. Like that must have been freaky for this guy who was obsessed with John Lennon to have him do that, but that's kind of the things I'm most proud of, and the things that when I play live, I want to sing, are the ones that I'm singing about me or from me and what I feel. They're a little, I can't live in that autobiographic world all the time, but when I write a good one like that, it feels good. Of course, I'm the kind of guy that like songwriter that if I write a bad one, then I'm like miserable until I write something I think is good, because I'm only as good as the last thing I wrote. If I don't like something, these days I try not to record it. Like I'm going to develop this and make it better. I've learned my lesson on that. It's demoralizing to me. It makes me feel, I just toss it. And I might return to it later with a fresh ear or whatever, but yeah.
I think your writing, your lyrics, I think what I really like about it, what really grabs hold of me is you seem to explore conceptually what it means to be alive during this time, but you're doing it in a way where you're not coming to any major conclusions, and you're not trying to come to major conclusions. You're having the thought, you're letting the thought exist in your head, and you're seeing it through as far as it goes, but you're not doing it with a agenda. You're not trying to prove or show your work on anything. You're exploring what it means to be alive in this time right now.
Thanks for noticing that. And yeah, and I feel like I am, and I wasn't setting out to do that, and I didn't even realize I was doing that until I reflected on the record and how it goes. I didn't think about this, but I'm a huge Teenage Fan Club fan. And there's a song on 13 where it's a Jerry song where he sings, "I never looked for answers in a song," which is ironic for me to mention because that's like looking for answers in a song to quote it. But I'm not one to try to, yeah, like you say, to try to provide an answer or prescription or anything, just talking about what it's like right now, the sort of like American existence, and even the Trump piece, unfortunately, to even say his name, like
Yeah.
it's what we're all going through collectively. My mom was just in town, and I took her and my daughter. We live in Red Hook, New York, which is really close to Hyde Park, where FDR is from. We went to his house yesterday, and did the tour and everything, and it was just incredible and inspiring. And to just start thinking about the TVA and the WPA and all the thing, the United Nations, FDIC, like this is an aristocrat that was looking out for the common people and really and truly wanted to make life better for everyone and to raise the quality of life for Americans of all shapes, sizes, colors, whatever. And it's just such a sharp contrast.
Yeah. Whoa, calm down, communist.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason that makes FDR the best president we had, race stuff aside, because he wasn't hip in that way.
Sure.
But the thing that makes him our best president is like he was our most socialist president.
Yeah.
And the people that are so afraid of socialism don't understand, like they've never been to Scandinavia. They don't know that socialism is the freest anyone is.
Yep.
When it's democracy and socialism, they're so much more free than we are in the United States. We are prisoners to.
They seem to misunderstand or mistake socialism for authoritarianism. And they're like, no, authoritarianism is what you're fucking doing right now.
That's exactly right. It's such a great irony that they're so scared of socialism when it is the thing that would deliver. There's just no reason that such a wealthy, enormous country with so much potential has to just hand it all to the billionaires. But anyway.
There are no good kings, only burning palaces, and nothing is written, now I know. It wasn't up to me just how my reign would end. At any moment I knew I could lose my throne. I cast my mind back and my brain turned colors. When the darkness doubled, I saw no other. I just couldn't live with my mistake. But you had the freer heart and were the first to break.
I kind of want to take things back. You talked about how you wrote some songs based around some of San's drum tracks. And to me, like, I've had pleasure to do something. It's interesting when you come across files like that, a recording of somebody who you knew and respected. I mean, at least for me, it's always felt like it's a way of giving them some sort of life again, or just reliving like the best part of the things I liked about the person. I was kind of curious what that whole experience was like for you in a little bit more detail than what you said before.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I loved playing with San. I first played with him in the Essex Green a little bit, like recorded or something. I can't remember. He was like really He was like, I'm in the Ladybug transistor. I'm not an Essex Green. He was funny about that. But then I joined Ladybug playing keys, and I was playing bass, and I got switched after Jeff left. I got to play the lead guitars in Ladybug. But man, I loved playing with him, and he is as twee and dainty as some of the Ladybug stuff was. He really wanted to rock. We had so much fun reinvigorating. Not that they all have to, just one way to play. You can play a song in a whole bunch of different ways, but he loved to do that. And at the time, I was touring with like a big 335, had a real fat rockin' sound, and we would just do these jams that were, at least in my mind, they were really good. Like people were into it, and we were into it, and we were having fun, and we didn't really care. The band just kind of had to go along with us because we were having so much fun, and that's what we were going to do. It's just like we were kind of, if what I was going to play, he was right there with me. He was a great drummer. He kept great time. He had great feel. He was funny as can be. And we had plans. Before he died, we had plans for me to come to Swizzy, as he called Switzerland, where he lived. You got to come to Swizzy, and we're going to make a record or whatever. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But it just, one thing led to another. It kept being another tour, or another money thing, or whatever it was, that we kept putting it off. And then he died suddenly of an asthma attack, of all things. And I didn't get to do that. And that's a regret of my life and a painful thing for me. So when I got to play with him again via old recordings, it wasn't just, oh, these are cool drums. It was like, wow, I feel something here. And yeah, like I said, I was considering having Gary sing on them, but they ended up just feeling too much like instrumentals. They don't really leave space for singing, and they seem to go so well on this record, that in between some of the sort of heavy songwritery kind of songs, it's nice to have a brain cleanser kind of for a short instrumental.
They're both beautiful, and they both add texture to the record, and they add it where it's where I would say that it's needed. Like where you've put the songs in, they fit perfectly.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the sequence it's tricky these days to sequence a record when you want to do 20 minutes per side because of the limits for vinyl. Like that's the best fidelity. So you don't want a 22-minute side, because then the audio quality of your vinyl pressing suffers. I had to make some painful concessions to, cut some songs from it. But it was interesting to me that I cut like good songs that I'd worked hard on in favor of putting those instrumentals. But it was just a better record with the instrumentals. If I had to really limit it to 20 minutes per side, that's how the, cookie crumbled or whatever.
No, that's really interesting. I'd love to hear the ones that you removed for the instrumentals to take their place on the record. But those instrumentals are fantastic, and especially now that I know that you built them on top of San's drumming, like I'm so excited to listen to them again.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's cool for you to say that. And I think they surprised me how much I liked them, because Sam, who mixed them, he makes a lot of instrumental music, and usually I'm working with mixers who do songs, pop kind of songs with lyrics, and he's just so attuned to like having the instrumental kind of tell a story and evolve and have a narrative flow almost, that he really massaged it and crafted my tracks to do the little thing that they do, which was, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think that's a big reason why they made it. But he spent a ton of time on it. And the funny thing is, this like digital world kind of mistake is that, we share files on Dropbox, and some weird thing, some quirk of Dropbox, like he thought there were like, I don't know, 9 songs on this record, and I was actually giving him 17 to mix, but they just didn't populate. So he started mixing, and then
oh wow,
just got to work. And he spent like a lot of time on the first 9, thinking he was like, that was a record. And I was like, oh man, there are 8 more.
I'm done.
And he was like, really? and then he listened to the other 8 and he was like, oh God, this is the heart of the record. This other, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot, but like I said all that to say that like most engineer or mixing engineers I'd worked with would have like, oh, little instrumental, I'll do blip, 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 done, whatever. But he really took his time to make him into something.
That must have been a little concerning though when he first sent you back and you're like, oh, there's only 9 songs here.
Yeah, his email said, here's your record. And I was
Yes.
like, and that's when I realized.
Well, here's
what
half the
happened.
record.
I sing for only one, straight into her eyes. I do not look away, fix my gaze till I'm nearly blind, but simply seeing through her, seeing through her. I sing from the place where my love lies, I live through my loved one's eyes. My dreams and my reality, so colored by how she sees me. The way her eyes smile.
Yeah, not every album has to be conceptually unified and thematic. Some of my favorite records are just collections of songs. Like here's 12 songs I wrote that I think are good. Like I think a bunch of Stones records are like that. They're not necessarily conceptually or thematically unified, but yeah. So those songs will come out. They'll find a place on another record. Whether it's those recordings and mixes, probably. I can't imagine. They're good. So they'll find their way into the world. But these days, it's tricky these days. It's like the whole I write and record so much, and it's expensive for the label to do vinyl. And
Yeah.
if you're not selling a ton, then it's a tough call. But like, then what's your alternative? Just digital only releases, that's just a bummer. It just feels like,
That's a big bummer.
yeah, you didn't actually put it out, or it's just like, feels like you just dumped it out there unceremoniously.
I hate to say that I feel like this because I'm sure it's unfair to an enormous amount of artists, but I kind of feel like if it just came out on digital, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I feel that way too, but that's not judging the artist who do it. A lot of us have to, well, and I may do it at some point, but it's like sometimes out of necessity, that's what you have to do. And at least these days, shit, it's all about the algorithm, right? The stupid algorithm, whatever it's playing to people. Like, I think a lot of artists would probably feel good, and I would if I was like, oh, I've got my, like, the email comes in, Spotify for artists this month, and like, wow, look how many people are listening. Like, it's sort of like, oh, at least, it's like a monthly reminder that you're not just laboring here and toiling in absolute,
And then throwing it into the ether and never seeing
right.
it again. Yeah.
Right. So I think for the people that do that, I think when they get there, when they see that people are listening, that is probably, heartening.
I like I like art to have a tactile quality to it. I like to be able to hold it in my hand, and I know that that's not probably the end all be all for every single piece of art that's ever been made, and I am willing to think differently in small bursts and enjoy something that was only released digitally if that's all that it was. But I very much prefer an artist to take the time and the effort and put in and put out their art as a full tactile experience.
Yeah, amen. It's satisfying too as an artist to be like, oh, here's the first time you dropped the needle on a record you made that you spent years of your life writing and recording, and you have so much, you put so much soul into it, and then there it is on a piece of wax. That's a good feeling.
All right, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Does it have to be on vinyl? What if it's cassette only? What if it's CD?
If it's cassette only, I still consider it having had a physical release. And yes, I prefer vinyl because that's my preferred way of listening. But as long as it has a physical component, I'm generally happy.
What about CDs?
If that's the decision that they made, I'm into it. I've got the new Shut Up CD on the way to my house right now.
All right, well, back to you, Ben. One of the things I'm kind of curious about, because it seems like you have different parts of your life. I mean, what is the process that you generally follow for recording? Are you recording at home, in a studio? Like where are you recording?
Yeah, a mixture of places. Like for this record that we're talking about now, a lot of the drums and a scratch guitar were done in Brooklyn. I just went to the studio there where my drummer friend Kevin Shea, who I've been playing with for 20 years, prefers to record. And there's a really nice engineer there named John Epperly. The place is called Metropolitan Sounds. We did a lot of the drums there and some scratch guitar and scratch vocals that I'll later replace. And then I did some of it live with guitar and drums at Sam Cohen's Slow Fawn studio in Accord. And of course, Son stuff that was recorded at Wave Lab in Tucson. James recorded his guitars at home. Derek, who played bass on one song, recorded his part at home. Yeah, let's say. Oh, and Kyle recorded all the piano at his house. So we do that. We do that like digital file sharing thing that people do now. Even though he lives in like right near me, Kyle, he didn't record. And I have a piano sitting next to me. He didn't record here. He recorded his piano at home. So he's comfortable and he recorded it himself.
What percentage do you think is home studio versus studio? I'm just curious. I mean, it sounds great. I'm just curious.
Percentage wise, basically all the drum. I didn't record any of the drums here. I'm not equipped to do drums at home. So all the drums were done elsewhere and everything else was home recorded except the songs I did with Sam. So that was like Meant to Fly and the song On the Way Back. We didn't talk about that, but that one is like Sam's playing the guitar. And it's interesting that Sam, he played the guitar, but it sounds like me, it's just really like he played a guitar part in my style just naturally. And I thought it was like fun and cool that he did that.
I did notice that because it does feel like it's a band, a cohesive band that is used to playing with each other in it. But it sounds like the way you're describing it is it's really sort of a mix of a lot of different people for different songs and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to try to achieve the sound of people playing in a room together.
It definitely works for that.
I like that sound, like that sort of like a 70s Ian Matthews record or like Songs for Beginners, like Graham Nash record, like they're in a room, they're playing music together, the vocal is recorded live. It's like, I really like that. And I think a lot of the best music is made with a songwriter who is able to deliver the goods in the studio. When the red light goes on in front of the microphone, that songwriter can get the song across. And then a bunch of musicians who are hearing the song for maybe the first time, often the first time, they're playing what they're so good that what they play is great and it's spontaneous and it's fresh. I mean, everything from like a Bob Dylan or Neil Young record to like pretty much every like Wrecking Crew record would have been something they just heard for the first time. Motown, same thing. All the Muscle Shoals stuff, a million Nashville sessions. The players heard it that morning and they played it a few hours later. So for my new one, I'm trying to do that. Like we just recorded live. I'm like, it's the final vocal, like in the performance. And it really sounds like people playing together. With this record, I tried to achieve that sound. And for the next thing, I'm trying to actually do that. We'll see if I can do it. But the first 4 songs are done and I like it.
I like hearing you say that because I think it definitely accomplished that. Like, I'm actually surprised to hear how disparate the different locations were for how it was recorded. It feels very much like a band just went into a room, whether it was in a studio or a home studio or whatever, and it was very well recorded. It feels very live. I actually wrote it down here. The record feels very live to me in general. I mean, it's almost like I can imagine going to see you guys play, or whatever band you're with, playing these songs. I can imagine it having similarities to it. It's not like you'd be able to bring the vibe back live for a lot of these songs, because the recorded version is essentially a live version.
Yeah, and I think that Sam, as a talented mixing engineer, made conscious choices to, I mean, even just recording a podcast, you're probably very aware of this. I don't know how much music you've recorded, but with the amount of room sound you can add artificially, you can create a sound where it sounds like musicians are playing in the room, even when they're not, even when like the bass was done in San Francisco, or, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's really a compliment. Well, to the musicians who played, like they played in a way that fits in, but also to Sam as with his mixing, he really made it sound like that.
I think he did a fantastic job.
There are no rainbows on my horizon, no smile in your eye, no hummingbird on the wing. It's sad in a place like this, that's the thing. This town is meant for leaving. There's no place to live and die. And the story I tell myself I must believe in. I need a place to take off from. I was meant to fly. Well, the birds, they don't call this place America.
Earlier, Matthew said some very smart sounding stuff about some of the lyrics and
It's just
intent. I have a much more dumb sort of observation. I noticed that you use the word perseverate in your lyrics, which is a word that I first came across in the late 90s, and I became very fascinated with that word. And I always wondered how I could work it into a song. And so I was very happy when I heard it in the lyrics. It stuck out to me. It's like, he beat me to it. I mean, of course, it's been 20 plus years since I first heard the word, but, you know, I was very impressed with you using perseverate.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, that's like a therapy kind of word, you know, at least for me. Like that was my issue when I started going to therapy after I had the bad concussion. I was just feeling so bad. And in the song, I say I perseverate until there's nothing left. You know, it's just like I just kept turning stuff over and over in my mind, and my anxieties and my worries about if I was going to get better. And how it was going to affect my kids and my wife, you know, it was just really weighing on me. And I was perseverating about that. And there's another one that's similar to that on there where it's like, it was the nightmare of my choosing. And I found I couldn't outsmart the pain, which was like, it's a lot happier sounding in the recording that made the record, but it's a heavy, for me, it's a heavy sentiment. I mean, it maybe just sounds wordy to the listener. I don't know, but like that was what it was. Like, I'm not the smartest person around, but you know, I'm a book smart person. I'm a reader and I'm a writer and I'm a person who takes tests well. I'm that kind of smart, you know. But I could not, the stuff I was experiencing, there was no intellectual solution, you know, for me, like to find. That was just, in the end, it was a long process of my brain healing, really is what it was, you know. But yeah, that was kind of where yeah, that was a therapy word. Yeah. And why I stuck in like
Maybe that's why I like this record so much, because I'm somebody who has had some brain trauma issues as well in my past. And maybe it's just like a lot of the themes, at least even though I'm not focused front and center on the lyrics, like it's still sinking in. It does, like earlier I'd said that it was very reminiscent of some like sort of the Bakersfield or San Bernardino sound or what have you. But it has a slightly more intellectual sort of vibe to it in the lyrics, and just the sound quality of your voice. It just makes it sound like it's something deeper than just like, oh, hey, we're going out to the bar and this really cool band is playing. I don't know if I really had a point, but I'm just processing my whole absorption of the record.
Well, thanks. That's a compliment. Thanks for saying that. I mean, there's a point of view out there. I feel like even if you don't like that kind of music, or if it's not really your thing, if you take a minute and tune in, I think it's a hard record. This is going to sound cocky, but I don't mean it really. It's like, it's a hard record to just dismiss. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to listen to this record and go like, wow, that's a significant artistic statement by an artist who's doing something. And you might not like it, you know what I mean? But like, it might not be your thing, but I don't think it's easy to just brush under the rug and be like, this is nonsense, you know?
No, absolutely not. I agree with you 100% on that. And that's, that's a great thing about when someone actually does put real effort into their art. Not effort's not the word I'm looking for, but put themselves into their art, is that it can be bad or it can be good, but what you're getting is authentic. So you can have your opinion about whether or not it's for you, whether or not it's not for you, but you can't dismiss it because you recognize that authenticity.
Yeah, one of my friends, I don't like the term, but one of my friends called it big dick energy, you know? It's like like a cringy, that's a cringy term, but I don't know another word for it, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, I think it's like some sort of confidence and some kind of like, I mean, me and Brian Poole used to talk about this. He would love to remind me of what Brian Eno said, like, well, of course I'm pretentious, you know, like, how can you do anything great without being pretentious? The thing is, like, you have to believe to write. Anyway, I have to, I don't want to, let me revise. I have to believe, like, for example, like, this is just a 3-chord folk song. Someone could say, I'd be like, well, I have to know that it is my 3-chord folk song. And when it's mine, it's important. It's important to rock and roll history. I have to know that that's the case. You know, if I don't know that, I don't know what I can do. You know, I mean, that sounds silly and pretentious, but it's like a necessary, it's necessary to my own approach. You know, I have to,
it's necessary to the creation of art.
yeah, I think so. You know, I think probably painters and filmmakers and stuff, they have to know what they're doing is important. They have to believe that it is. They have to, yeah, go beyond believe. Like, that to just, you just have to know. It has to, if it's in there and you know it's of value, then the whole thing, you're able to deliver it with that.
And because if it's not, why are you doing it to begin with?
Well, there's a lot of songs that are like, say, oh yeah, this song is CGA, it's a basic progression or whatever. It's like, but no, there's a lot more to it than that. There's there's flavors of CG and A, and that sounds kind of like what you're talking about when you say you want to make sure it's your song.
This is Ben's CG and A.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, the air was just hitting the top of my hand. Miserable, cynical, world-weary, throat-cutting bastard that I am. I was standing at the summit, looking down at the hill that I used to think was a mountain. With heat in my mouth from words unspoken, I gazed upon the wisdom of my old man. He said, be a good person, love your wife and children, ask God to forgive you your sins. And do you feel fulfilled? Well, who really feels fulfilled? Well, I think my dad.
I'm curious, are there any plans like to tour or anything like that?
Touring, I'm a full-time teacher and I have 2 kids, and that's not in the cards for me, touring. But when the record comes out, I'm going to try to do a show in Kingston area where I live, and one in the city, New York, with my friends in the bands Elk City and Plus Minus. I think we're going to do a 3-band bill, and hopefully one show in Kingston and one in New York.
I was going to say the first band I was ever in was with James Balliot of Plus Minus.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's my good bud.
yeah. Well, say hi to him for me. I mean, most of my guitar playing is modeled after things that I just picked up from him when I was playing bass in a band with him. So
Are you from Michigan?
I went to school in Michigan.
Oh, okay. So you know him from college.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, he's great. I love him. I love all those guys. They're really good. Yeah, so I'm gonna do those 2. And then Mike Turner and my idea was I'm trying to get everybody who is still active and current and Elephant Six related to play like a festival kind of all day thing in New York in the spring, I want to see if we can do that. As many of us, or maybe it would just be the happy birthday to me bands who are E6 related, who would do like a sort of showcasey all day kind of show. But
Well, that would be very exciting.
I don't know if it's going to come to fruition or not, but I definitely hope so. That I think that would be cool. Don't you think that would be cool? That'd be a fun thing.
Yes, I do think that would be cool. I do think that would be a fun thing. That's a very exciting idea for me. I'd love I might have myself come on down to New York for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that maybe people that wouldn't come for like to see just Tammy from Dressy Bessie. I think she has a new solo record coming out, and like
She does?
they might not come all the way to New York to see that, but if also on the bill is Elf Power and Giant Day and Great Lakes and maybe the Garment District or Ladybug Transistor, Essex Green or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave anyone out, and I don't think in the planning that we would want to leave anyone out either. That is not an Elephant Six way. That would be cool. I think that would be fun. It would be great if Robert would play, I don't know I know he kind of feels like he's retired and
Yeah, but then he keeps putting his little toe back in, so it's possible.
yeah, he has the Air Sea Dolphin thing with the Chapman brothers and Jamie Huggins. They could maybe play. I don't know. It would just be cool to have as many people, as many of the Elephant Six bands as possible to like come up to New York and play. I mean, a tour would be really cool, but like if it was like, I was thinking like around spring breaky kind of time, that would be sweet, just to have.
Promise me if it doesn't happen this coming year that you don't abandon the idea and continue to push forward with it. So maybe, the following year it does come to fruition.
Yeah. Here's the thing about me with this kind of thing. I'll have the idea, but the whole booking shows thing, I just hate. If music was just tell me where to turn up and play, I'll be in tune, I'll know the song, I'll deliver it well. But the whole behind the scenes stuff is just sucks the life out of it to me. I just really hate doing it. That's why and so But it would be some people are really good at it. They can handle the money, they can handle all the logistics, whatever. Like a promoter, if we can get a promoter involved. Andy Boder from the Cake Shop he put on a lot of shows for L6 bands in the city, and I would hope that he might be game for something like that. But we'll talk to a few people. We'll see.
Whether it's a one-off or a group of shows or what have you, definitely keep us apprised, because I'm sure like one of the features that we are working into sort of the new format of the show is sort of like, hey, you can catch this band here and there. I'm sure there's enough fans if there was sort of like a gathering of tribes, so to speak. I'm sure people would be interested in learning about it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what might be interesting now is that, like, there was a time when, like, if we all played a show, it would be very like 60s pop, Beatlesy, like real like that, like now it would just be all over the map stylistically, because everyone has kind of not dismissed their early work, but everyone evolves, changes, grows, moves in new directions. And it's cool to see where everybody has gone. And I think it might be cool to get everybody together. And I think the Minders have a new record. I'm a huge Minders fan.
Hey, I'm excited for that. And I think that's going to be on Happy Birthday to Me as well, isn't it?
Yeah. News to me. I hope it is. That's great. I hope that I really hope that as many as possible of the Elephant Six related bands can like keep Happy Birthday to Me just cruising on. It's just great. Mike's an awesome guy. He's an honest, good person. I've known him for 30 years. It's just amazing to have a connection with a label dude who I go back that long with. He put out my first single and he's still putting out my records. It's just really cool. And it's cool for all those bands to be able to work with him. And I hope that my biggest hope is that it's financially viable for him to keep being a avenue of putting out, for Elephant Six associated artists to put music out. I'm not only that, but that'd be a really cool thing. It sort of makes, I think, for music fans, maybe it makes it easy to
filter through the static to find, what you actually want.
Yeah, you said it better than I was going to, but yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, there's just so much of that.
100%. Our reasoning for continuing the show and doing the show is because I very much hope that it is helpful to the artists that we're talking to. And I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying that that's my hope. I'm hoping that we will help you guys get through the static, especially, the people that already love Elephant Six, because the static overwhelms that as well. They're not noticing all the new stuff that you guys are doing.
Yeah, well, thank you. It really is a service to all of us that you are doing this podcast. It's a lot of fun to talk to y'all. I really enjoy it, but it's also like I know that you're doing it for that reason, and I appreciate it. It feels to me, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but it feels to me you're like, we found some stuff that we like, and we're going to sort of celebrate it and try to get other people to listen to the thing that we like or whatever, in the simplest of ways, which is like, I loved the band Further when I still do, but inside one of their albums, you opened it up and it said something like, friends are people who like the same music as you, when you're young, that's really true. But even, and then as you get old, maybe friends are people who liked the same music when they were teenagers as you did or something, I don't know. There's something about that formative teenager, early 20s kind of thing.
It very much does. I mean, that's the period of time that I discovered Olivia Tremor Control and, Apples and Stereo and all that. And it fucking imprinted on me. I don't know if you can tell, but.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's great. I was in my, early 20s. So it imprinted on me. Absolutely. I think that you probably, it's just cool to still be a teenager and hit that and have that stuff get to you. And just, your brain is really still developing, and it's guided in the right direction by good stuff.
Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts will return in 2 weeks with an episode from our first season, freed from behind a paywall. We'll be talking to the Gerbils about their foundational Elephant 6 release, Are You Sleepy? And let us tell you, it's a really good episode that you won't want to miss. And in case you weren't aware, Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts has a Patreon. Wait, keep listening. Our show is free and will remain that way. However, joining our Patreon and pledging just $1 a month allows you to participate in our monthly giveaways and helps us keep the proverbial lights on. Before we return with another episode, be sure to listen to great music as well as do what brings you joy and fulfillment.